with Jim Arkin, and we're going to do a little interview on the Arkins drugstore. Back in the, late 60s, early 70s, I remember it there, next to Pearson's Bakery.
Everybody remembers Pearson's Bakery.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, it's a mom and pop drugstore. I mean, we've got the big CVS now, we got Walgreens, you know, and but to have an old mom and pop drugstore on
before the
side
change
street
came in,
in LaSalle,
yeah.
I want you to tell us about the Arkins drugstore and how it kind of got started.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back a little bit further than our drugstore, because when I was researching this, I found out some information in the News Tribune. This happened back in March 11th of 1926 in the Tribune, that I saw an article. And it mentions a store that was owned by McCrane's drugstore, and that was at First and Marquette Streets in LaSalle. Well, in the future, that became my dad's drugstore, you know, down the line. So I have a record here that in 1866, on that address of First and Marquette, there was a McCrane drugstore, and it's where LaSalle's National Bank was located. That is even gone now. If you remember, down the street from the Kaskaskia was LaSalle National Bank on the corner. Across the street, LaSalle State Bank.
Yes. And
now this is a men's clothing store kind of in that area. So that goes way back then. And then I have in 1875 that ownership of that store passed to a man by the name of Leffelman and Crooks, so there must have been two co-owners in that area. Then in 1878, somewhere around 1879, a man by the name of W.B. Hummer, and I think Hummer is a name that's associated with LaSalle due to finance and furniture store. But at any rate, that name comes up, and he had a big interest in banking also. He disposed of the drugstore to a man by the name of H.A. Baker. So this just keeps going and going. Then in 1884, W.J. Clancy. Now Clancy might be a name that some of the older folks remember, because there was a Clancy's drugstore. But he affiliated with Baker, and then a few months later, the ownership passes on to Clancy and Hummer. So then there was a combination there. And in 1900, Clancy purchased the Hummer stock and operates the store as Clancy's drugstore. And I do have some advertisements for the News Tribune for Clancy's drugstore. And what's amazing about it is when you look at the prices of what common meds over-the-counter were, it's like, whoa, but that's how we are today. So then in 1907, my grandfather, J.E. Arkins, James Elmer Arkins, and he always went by Elmer. For some reason, he preferred the name Elmer. So he and Mr. Clancy got together because my grandfather was actually working for him as a student and when he went to school. He was clerking, is the word that was in the paper. He was clerking for Clancy. And then my grandfather was a clerk at the Oglesby store. So somehow there must have been a couple stores that Mr. Clancy had, so it goes back. And then in 1909, my grandfather again, he enters the College of Pharmacy at the University of Illinois, and at that time was a 2-year degree. And so that 2-year degree changed over the years. When my dad graduated, it was a 4-year program. I graduated in '72 with a 5-year program, and my daughter Chris, I don't remember the year that she graduated, she was a 6-year program and she got a doctor's of pharmacy out of that. So that changed over the years. So that was the year my grandfather started, and of course it was because of William Clancy. He saw what he wanted to be in Mr. Clancy. He showed him the ropes and he decided he liked that. And then in 1911, the Clancy drugstore incorporates with W.J. Clancy as the president and my grandfather, again, J.E. Elmer, as the secretary-treasurer. And then they had a store at that time that it was at 641 First Street and also one on 8th Street. So that's the 8th Street connection. And I think the First Street store, it says here, became Music's. So there's always progression in all of this. So then in 1920, my grandfather, and Clancy were full partners. And at that time, they had 3 stores. So they had the store on 8th Street, they had the store at 641 First Street, and then they had the store in Oglesby, which was in the fraternity building. If you know that one, it's probably the biggest building in downtown Oglesby, across from the church on Walnut Street. It's like a 3-story building. Okay, so they were in that building. And then in 1931, my dad, J.E. Arkins Jr., and my dad always went by Jim or James. He didn't like the Elmer. He was working for Grandpa at the drugstore, and he remembers like unpacking crates of things that were coming in from the store, and he talks about like today you'd have peanuts and things in those things to protect the packaging. They put Excelsior. I don't know if you know that stuff, but if you remember the movie Christmas Story, when the fragile and the leg is in that box, he's throwing all that like sawdust, Excelsior. So that's just something that he remembered, and it was even quoted in there. 1926, the Depression hit, and at that time the Arkins Oglesby store started, not in the fraternity building, but down the street. I don't know, somewhere in there. And then Clancy's 8th Street store, let's see here. Okay, so they operated the Oglesby store and Clancy's on 8th Street. Okay, but they sold the store on 1st Street to Kaz Guzik, and that's what I thought. And that became the Guzik Rexall store downtown. So then, according to this, 1937, Dad was at the University of Illinois going to pharmacy school 4 years. 1948 or 1950, the Oglesby store moved from that fraternity building to where it was located last, and that was in the 120 East Walnut Street. And it was a brand new store at that time. 1951, my dad purchased the 8th Street store and became Arkins Rexall drugstore. And Guzik's was an independent Rexall store downtown. And if I remember right, there were about 5 or 6 independent stores in LaSalle and Peru before the chains came in and wrecked everything.
Right.
You just couldn't compete with them. In 1956, I showed that my uncle Bill Arkins and my other uncle Joe Arkins took over the Oglesby store from my grandfather. My grandfather, at that point, his health was kind of failing, so my dad was in the one store and the uncles were in the other store. Yeah. And then at some point, I don't have the date of this, and it drives me crazy. I don't have the date. And then Don, of course, my dad took on Don Wilmot as a partner.
Oh, okay.
And then they operated the store as co-partners for quite a while. And then my dad finally sold the store to Don. And I don't have the date for that, believe it or not.
Okay.
And that's the most recent thing we have.
Hmm.
So it was quite a progression of stores in the South area. So.
No, they still retain the name Arkins, even though it's Wilmot's wife, because Don had died many years ago.
Don's wife, Lois, operated that store. And then Don's son, Dean, he also went to pharmacy school. So then Dean was working with his dad in that store after my dad had sold it. And so Dean still operates that store under that same name, but we have no affiliation with it anymore.
Okay.
And of course the Oglesby store was sold too. And,
okay. So does Dean still work there in the back? And he's the pharmacist.
He is the pharmacist.
Oh, okay. Right. He's been there a while.
Oh yeah, it's been.
Gosh.
I couldn't quote you, but he just like us. He came out of school and then worked, probably for 40, 45 years, I would imagine.
Okay.
'Cause
Now, we're sitting in a railroad car here up at the Mendota Railroad Museum. And when did the selling of model trains happen? Was that with Don Wilmot?
that would be all Don.
Oh, okay.
Don was always interested in the trains, and it wasn't, I don't think that Don himself started that, it would have been Dean.
Oh,
I believe that when Dean came on, that's when their interest, because both of those both men were interested.
now he has
in
2 sons, right?
He has another son, David.
David, yeah.
And to my knowledge, there's no connection there. David
Okay.
never was interested in that. I don't think that David ever had the trains either. I could be wrong on all that, but.
All right.
And then they operated that for quite a while, but the model train store is no longer operating. That's all I know. So that's not there anymore.
Now, how does a store, drugstore like that, I'll call it a mom and pop drugstore,
Yeah.
still survive in this day and age when so many have fallen by the wayside?
The only way they probably do it, either they're the only place in town, in a small town, where the chains just wouldn't want to come in, they don't think it would be financially feasible, or possibly it was a small chain, like we only had 2 stores, let's say, but I know a few pharmacists that have 5, 6 stores. That might work, because again, it had to do with the buying power, what you can buy. Again, if you're buying in quantity, you can do better. And most of these moms and pops were 1 store, and you just can't purchase what the chains can. Whether you're being like a Royal Blue grocery store or a Red Owl store, can't really compete with the big stores, so it doesn't work. Now, in the days of 1930 and 1940, if you were affiliated with Repsol, that was a help because you could buy through them. Repsol was a bigger corporation, and these stores were independently owned but became agencies of Repsol, and so their buying power, they could buy. And you may have heard of, train.
That would give me a chance to. The
When he
pharmacist.
retired,
That's
going to be, there's going to be no different ones.
Yeah, I
And
know.
down in Spring Valley, the only thing left is there's Johnson's.
Yeah. Oh,
Dave-
Johnson's is still alive.
But he's retiring. But the thing is, he lost his wife. They have no kids. It's his hobby, if anything else. I say the same thing. If David gets sick, David dies, Dave Johnson, or that's it. There's going to be nobody who wants to store in Spring Valley. I can imagine. So it's been taken over by, so you got Walmart, Walgreens, and CVS. That's it.
And even Walgreens is not shaky.
I heard that.
I mean, that people are starting to get the drugs online, and
and you see that, that just.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It's starting to be mail order, it comes in the mail.
Yeah, because I'm older. I don't know how you feel. I don't order online. I don't know. Do you do Amazon?
I order other stuff online. Yeah.
Well, back to the trains. If you're a model roader, where are you going to go? You're going to drive to Geneseo, or going to drive to the suburbs.
Exactly.
Or order online. And I've just never gotten into that.
Well, it's a good thing that you haven't, because it does cost.
Yeah.
Amazon costs a fee really for the free shipping, so you have to really order a lot to
get
compensate.
Well, that's about the only way you can do things. And I mean, I still look at all the Model River and Model River Craftsman, all those magazines. You see all the ads, but you got to order from Walters or somebody like that.
Yeah.
And all these things have gone online.
Yeah. I sure miss Marion. Downtown Spring Valley.
Yeah, we could get everything there, and then you met people there.
Yeah, you met people there.
Have you gone down to Geneseo?
No, I haven't, but I've heard some of the guys do.
Green, what do you call it? But anyway, I've gone in there 3 or 4 times. I've even ordered once from, I told you, out in Nebraska, Deschler. You know what I'm talking about? Spring something models. If you look at your model, they always advertise spring something, Deschler. And again, it must be a little bitty town. got a big store.
Really? Yeah.
They do. I got a Rapido I think it was an E9
Really?
CB&Q.
Wow, beautiful. So bad. Yeah.
E units are my favorite.
Yeah, E units, yeah. F units and E units. I
Yeah.
remember the F
Oh,
units
weren't they
in
great?
Milwaukee coming
Yeah.
through here.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I lived in that last chapter, what I tell people,
You're
the
right.
last chapter.
Now,
of Mendoza.
you were down on the end, right?
Yeah,
Kinda down.
yeah, right, about 5-6
Yeah,
blocks.
because I've seen you.
Yeah.
Where do you live now? Do you live anywhere?
I live on a western town, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not right here.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I have to, otherwise I would have,
I just
been
want
love to be here more, but I can't,
Yeah.
I mean, I ride the bike a lot.
to.
You know what I miss is Ellis and BC club meets, I mean, we haven't had, when was the last one we had? Was it at Jim's, 20,
Probably.
was it 2018 or something?
Before he fell and
2017?
Yeah, nothing. And I used to see Wayne now and then, I'd say, and he said, oh, yeah, but nothing's happened. And then I said, well, I'll be help. If you want, we got to get a list of people
Yeah.
and send
right,
out, but
Right.
I don't know what to do.
Well, we should try to have at least something, and we could do it here.
That would be a good draw.
In the dining car or whatever, because it's
Get
all
people up there.
air conditioned and heated.
It couldn't be that. He must have a list.
There's got to be a list.
Now, there's, we've lost so many people,
Oh, I know.
but we couldn't have gained any people.
No.
I mean, you know if anybody was come in and.
Trenton and Tanner or Dominic would love to be part of the LCBC club, And there's a few other younger guys. I think even if, they didn't have layouts or people didn't have layouts, it's okay.
Right.
We could always use the Mendota Museum as a central meeting ground if nobody wants to host.
Yeah.
Because we could host in the dining car.
That was always, as far as I knew, a
Yeah.
thing. You didn't have to have a layout.
Right.
It sure helps.
Yeah, it sure helps, yeah.
But I haven't done much. I've become
I haven't done
less and
it
less.
only here. This is the only thing I do.
Well, I think this would be real ideal.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool that you're back up here in Mendota and then you can volunteer. I always thought
Yeah.
you need to volunteer at the owner railroad. But who's going to drive 90 miles,
Well, you can certainly volunteer
Right.
here. Oh, really? I'm here for sure Wednesdays and Saturdays, but really I'm here 7 days a
What do
week.
you do? What do you do?
There's a lot to do. If you like doing outdoor stuff, like painting and pulling weeds and dusting and all that stuff, anything to keep these cars clean. I painted a ton in the last year to protect the wood from rotting, the caboose, protect the wood from rotting. I mean, it was, and I'm going to go right at it as soon as the weather gets warm again. I'm going to be right at it. Right now, we're going to be excavating. We found a bunch of artifacts from the old Illinois Central Passenger House. It was the very first depot when Mendota first started.
Before the Union Station.
Before the Union Station.
Was it down by the freight station?
It was down there by the steam engine, down by the, closer to the Illinois Central Freight House. Anyway, we want to do a dig, an archaeological dig, because we found a lot of stuff when they put in the webcam, the train cam on the tower that you can watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
Mendota trains go by. Well, they had to run a cable, a couple hundred yards, maybe 100 yards. But anyway, they dug down 3 feet deep, so I knew right away that, hey, they're going to be digging on the old grounds where the passenger house burned down and the telegraph office. So we did find stuff. So now we want to do a real dig where it's not a trencher grinding up everything and ruining dishes and plates.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to go easy.
Oh, we're going to go easy.
That's what I mean. You got to
Yeah. We're going to go very easy on this, yeah. But anyway, I mean, we're trying to get some younger guys to, and Trenton and Tanner are young, and I certainly can do some digging. I've done a lot of digging holes for post last year here. But there's all kinds of stuff to do. If you're bored, you just want to come up and say, hey, Ray.
Somebody's here usually Monday through Friday, huh?
Well,
Wednesdays?
Wednesdays, Saturdays are the best days, but I'm here really every day that I possibly can. Yeah, sometimes 7 days a week. You know, I just enjoy coming down.
Yeah.
Here. I mean,
Now, do you or do any of the group work the station like Amtrak?
Well,
Because your dad used to do it.
well, yeah. Len Schwenlein, he just broke his hip. He fell.
Who did?
Lenny Schwenlein. He was
Oh, I
taking
did
care of
know
the
him.
station. Yeah.
Okay.
But he was doing like my dad did, you know, and I did.
That's how I met your dad.
Really?
I never knew him before that.
Oh, really?
And I
Okay.
mean, we'd go up to Chicago often enough,
Yeah.
and I'd recognize him, and then finally, he was coming in Hy-Vee, see, and that's
Oh,
how I got
okay.
it all figured out.
Oh.
Because otherwise I didn't know. Yeah, he said who he was and this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that was cool, that was cool.
Do you have any memories of the old two-tie grocery store? That was...
Only, no.
No.
Being where we lived, you know.
Were
know
you
where
in
we lived
Spring
on
Valley,
Fifth-
or-
No, okay. We lived on Fifth Street between Hearst Funeral Home and Gooding Street,
Oh, okay.
there. So anything I knew, like in our block, we had Shots Grocery
Okay.
and Craze. We had two mom and pops.
Wow.
Then we had Urbanowski's IGA,
I remember that.
Midtown Grocery on Joliet.
I remember
Okay.
that one. I remember the
Ray
Royal...
Pakula's,
The name is familiar.
9th and Joliet Street.
9th and Joliet.
9th and Joliet, the southwest corner.
Wow.
The building is there. Ray Pakula and his wife. It's one of those things where they had the houses.
Ray's liquor store.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
lived in the back.
Yeah, I remember.
That's how
that.
stores work. So, I mean,
Yeah.
all those were before we even got. And then Malone's. And so, the only time as kids we could even get up that way was if we're going swimming
Right.
in the summer. So that limited it. And no, we never, as kids, we never went past the swimming pool. We
Oh,
weren't allowed.
okay.
We could go to the pool, but
Right.
we couldn't go further. So all I knew is it was over there.
Oh, okay.
And if you look at people and or look at the area and you talk to people, there was a store almost on every block, and there was a bar on almost every block.
Right.
So that's how it was.
Yeah.
You come out of Paris Chemical, you go to a bar. There were grocery stores.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have these chains.
Right.
That's another area.
Yeah.
Wiped them all out.
Yeah.
So I knew it was there. Don't think I was ever in it.
Interesting.
Unless I was young and like one of my cousins or
Yeah.
aunts or mom and dad
Yeah.
took us there, but I don't think so.
Well, I remember Ferretti's grocery
Yeah,
store over there by
yeah.
the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
We used to live on Union Street,
Oh, you
right
did?
across the street from Ferretti's,
Okay,
back in the late 60s.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, before it moved.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, for a while there, was it Sabatini had his
Yeah.
hi-fi stereo or
Yes.
something?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still.
I don't think he does that
Yeah,
anymore.
building's
No, he
still-
doesn't, because I remember I went in there, they were gonna try to sell the building, and it was in pretty bad shape, and I took one look at the roof, I said, that's gonna need thousands of dollars
See,
for
we
it.
would ride our bikes again, and we'd take 4th Street all the way down to there. And either if the signals are blinking at that intersection,
Oh,
we
yeah.
cross. Otherwise, we'd go right down to the station.
Oh,
We
okay.
spent a lot of time down there.
Did
And
you?
it's one of those things. How the hell we didn't get killed? I don't know. Because we go right out on that mile bridge.
Oh my gosh.
We go on our bikes.
Oh,
We would ride on our bikes.
whoa.
None of us were afraid of slipping in
Yeah.
or the river. We were all good at it.
Yeah.
But we never got caught. And I think they didn't do anything anyway.
No, no.
Because I remember going down there one day, it started to pour like hell. And somebody was saying, come on in. And it was somebody like the station master
Yeah.
or somebody with some credentials took us to his office. There were a
Yeah.
couple offices in that building.
Right.
And started showing us like their train, like Illinois Central's magazines. I don't know what they were called, like
Right.
like
Yeah. I forgot what they were called.
like the Central or whatever.
Yeah.
So they were showing us business
Yeah.
magazines. It was
Yeah.
really neat. And they gave us a few, Oh, we'd hang around around the Rock Island Depot, the Burlington Depot. Sometimes the guy would come out, he'd give us some calendars or something like that. It was nice. They never ran us off the
Yeah.
property, but we never did anything
Right.
to warn
Right,
them. We
just
were
kids,
very
you
careful.
know.
We even knew then, you do not step on the rails.
Right.
You know, so if we're around, and we stood back, and then you go watch them switch, say, to West End, where Burlington had their yard,
Yeah.
and out there, you go over the rock, you couldn't see the rocks switch much, you know, just how they were. If you were like by the 101, I could just see, not much.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then we'd ride on Bruner Street or where it was to where they had that overhead bridge that went
Yeah.
from West South. You could stand there, but you still couldn't see much. I tell you what, though, we would stand there at night when the Rock Island, one of the rockets was
Yeah.
heading, whether it was going to Peoria or whether it was going to Quad Cities. And those beautiful E units would come along,
yeah.
and we'd stand right above the tracks, and it would just blow all that hot air and exhaust.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, and dumb kids,
So,
you know, we're dumb
yeah.
kids. We didn't do anything. I mean, we weren't
Right.
going to do anything wrong. But I think now, like, if I was the engineer of that train, and there's these kids up there on that bridge, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
We
Right.
never did anything like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
What about you? I mean, like the M&H and stuff. We used to cross that property all the time.
Oh yeah.
No one said or
Yeah.
called the cops.
I used to be inside the Illinois Central Freight House. I climbed up a tank car one time. The top was open. And it was
No
all
kidding.
green chemicals. I'm walking.
And you could have like dumped
Yeah.
stuff in, but
You know, yeah, the tracks. Even here in Mendota, we walked the tracks to school or to the bowling alley because it was a B lane. It was the shortest route possible. to
where was the bowling alley?
It was out there by
Oh, yes, I know.
52
Yes, I
and
do
51.
remember. In fact, I bowled there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you walk from here to there.
Right, yeah. all
Yeah,
the way.
okay, yeah, that's quite a walk.
That's quite a walk.
Oh,
but
we did.
it.
We
My
walked that.
sister and I.
Sure.
But
then
nobody ever said, get off the
No.
tracks.
In the canal, we'd take the canal
Yeah.
out to Split Rock, and we'd park our bikes, and we'd cross over
Yeah.
into those caves.
Yeah.
Remember those
Blackball
caves?
caves?
Yeah.
Really?
That could have been dangerous.
That could have been.
Well, we didn't
You're
think
lucky
anything
you're
of
still
it.
alive.
I guess so. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
That's
because, you know, I've been going through all these old newspapers, and there's so many headlines. I'm talking real old, on microfilm, and we got the Mendota Reporter collection, so 1905 and 1890, you know, whatever. So many young people killed by getting hit by trains or accidents oh my God, I didn't realize how dangerous it was. I mean, we were just invincible, weren't we? We didn't think that we were going to get hurt.
No. But again, I think we were
Careful.
I
Yeah,
think
we were
knew.
very careful.
We knew.
We had ears and we had eyes,
Yeah.
and we knew that a train could sneak up
At
behind
any
us.
time.
So we were all
Either
eyes,
direction.
you know,
And I think so.
all
I think you're
ears.
right.
Yeah,
You're
we
right.
weren't doing dumb things.
No,
you know.
no, we didn't.
We weren't-
But then again, we did do dumb things. Like you
Yeah, we
mentioned,
did.
Falling on those cars. There was a time,
I was just going to say. we
Illinois
did.
Central, maybe, did it like double the hill coming north?
Yes, it
Okay.
did.
Well, there was this whole series of cars. We crossed just south of the M&H Terrace down the hill, and there's all these rail cars there.
Yeah,
Oh, we had to see. We had to see. So one was a hopper,
yeah.
and it was coal then. Well, that was it. That's all we did and got down. But, you know, now I think, what if that thing started to move?
Right,
Of course, we probably had time to get off real quick.
right.
We don't know.
Yeah,
And it was just stupid.
yeah.
And then there were other times, I'm still fascinated by railroad signals.
Oh, yeah.
So there's nobody around. I climbed the mast, and
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it. And you get up there, and the
Yeah.
light is like this.
They're huge.
Wow! And then you see the wiring maybe out on the out on that bridge that crosses the river, 2 signals in each direction. They also had the box with all the electricals in it.
Yeah,
Well, we didn't open them, but sometimes they were open for whatever reason, and we just would stare at it. And it was all like relays.
yeah.
I remember them going like click, 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 click.
Oh,
click.
right.
Yeah.
right.
We're just fascinated. We're just looking at
Yeah.
them. Never touch them. But could you imagine if we got caught doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know, it would be easy to
Yeah.
put a stick in it or
Yeah.
a rock or a wire,
Right.
weld the whole thing.
Yeah.
But we were certainly interested in railroad things.
Yeah, I walked that bridge several times. Yeah, when they didn't have the gate, of course.
And we would see one of the Baldwins pulling some cars out. And that's about all I knew about it.
Really?
You know, it was going out
Yeah.
to, Ziegler? Or,
Were
they-
Midway,
Midway, where
yeah.
they transferred to the IC, I think. And that's my only recollection of ever seeing anything there.
Yeah.
And we didn't know
I
on
never
their
did
property.
either. I don't think I ever seen, I mean, we used to go on May Road, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we always went that way to get back to Mendota, you know, after visiting Grandma and LaSalle. I remember the tracks there, but I don't ever recall seeing the Allison BC train working.
Because pretty much I could hear them in the summer and that
Yeah,
at night. And it was almost
Yeah.
8 or 9. So in the winter, it'd be dark. In the summer, we just, as kids, we had no access to that.
right.
I could remember being at Fifth Street, and if the wind was right, I could hear the IC. And I could hear them struggling up the hill,
Up the hill,
and you
yeah,
could just listen to them, you know, going
Yeah.
up.
yeah. Yeah,
That's why I wondered if they doubled that hill.
Yeah, Bill Slusher told me that, because he told me, well, he showed me a picture that he had. There was an old steam engine parked next to the engine house in LaSalle. He says, yeah, that was the pusher. They
I
always
wondered
used
that too,
Yeah,
if they didn't in fact do that.
yeah,
As kids, my dad would take us down there, especially on a Sunday morning. They weren't doing anything, but there was usually always an engine there, steam.
yeah.
I didn't know whether it was a Mikado or
Yeah.
like a switcher.
Oh, it's probably the same. If I showed you that picture, I'll bet you say
So
that's
I
it.
always figured that's what they used in the yard. I never saw steam work in the yard. It was when we were older on our bikes, we would see the switcher, the
Right.
EMD.
Yeah,
Yeah, whatever those were, SW1s, I don't, you know, whatever those things were, switching,
the
so,
SW1200s maybe.
maybe,
The little
sixes,
switch,
12, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
That could be our entertainment every night.
Oh, I know.
We'd
Yeah.
go down, if they were,
Yeah.
we would do, remember I said we might be at, we might watch the Burlington switch, we might watch, then we'd head up the hill, go to the IC yard, see if they were switching or back and forth. Then we knew when the Rockets came in, so we'd go back down the hill.
Wow.
We pedaled a lot.
Yeah,
But
well,
I can remember sitting there at LaSalle's, the station in LaSalle, and watching the trains and think, oh, how cool, these people are on the train. They're going somewhere. I didn't really probably even know where they were going, but a lot of times somebody at the station would say the Des Moines Rocket is
Whoa.
coming. Des Moines. Whoa,
Des Moines.
Des Moines.